Well, anger's the easiest emotion. It's like the first emotion that we naturally go to.
Yeah.
So you can either sit in anger and it literally like corrodes your soul.
Oh, that's good.
You can either sit in that or you can dig deeper.
Yeah.
Be
and figure out a
curious.
new way.
Continue to ask questions until you.
That's good. Dig deeper and be curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And until that anger turns into
To
to
purpose.
whatever else, like
To purpose.
into a passion to make a difference.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. That's really, really good. Man. Hello, my friends, and welcome to a Conversation with Matthew. I'm Matthew Sanchez, and I am so glad. I'm so glad I can shout. I'm so glad that you chose this particular time out of your day to spend with me. Listen, my intention with every single episode that you hear on this podcast is always to plant a seed of inspiration in the hopes that it grows into your transformation. I'm all about self-development, and I'm all about encouraging people. So if you like what you've heard and you like the movement, share it. Because like Dr. Maya Angelou says, when you learn, you teach. When you get, you give. Thank you so much.
Brought to you by MSW Productions.
Listen, Crystal. What's your last name? Crystal Warr. Warr. Crystal Warr. Warr. But what was your last name before you got married? Is that your maiden name?
My maiden name's Abercrombie.
Who?
Abercrombie.
Abercrombie.
Yeah.
Abercrombie?
Abercrombie.
Abercrombie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, try spelling that. You know?
Wow, that's interesting. Abercrombie.
You remember, like, did you guys take the ITBS test of basic skills in school? You know, like standardized testing. Fill in I'm older than you, so
yeah, we did.
Would have to fill in the little bubbles. My last name never fit. Like I would get a part of it in, but there was a couple letters that wouldn't fit.
Really? Because of the Crumbly?
Yeah,
Crumbly?
it's a long name.
Well, first of all, I love this home.
Thank you.
But you guys haven't been in it longer than a year, right?
About a year and a half now.
A year and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it.
Well, now you know where we are. Come anytime.
Hey, listen, do not tempt me with a good time. I'm telling you. I will come and you won't even know I'm coming. I'm just come. Even if you're not here, I'm just going to, I'll probably do something funny in the camera to let you know I was here, just so you know I was here.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Krista, first of all, thank you for saying yes.
Yes, of course.
But people don't know this. Our church family don't know this. Well, they probably do, some of them, but they probably don't. Is that you were the first person I talked to so my first time at Highlands, I was with you holding the door.
I remember that.
Uh-huh.
We served together.
But how long had you been with Highlands then?
Well, we were at Auburn campus before, and then we came and helped launch the Columbus campus in 2019. So that was.
Oh.
When did you come in? 2020?
I went to the first. I know this now. I didn't know that then. I went to the first motion. So whatever year that was.
That's right. I want to say that was early 2021.
Okay. 21. Wow.
I think so.
Wow, that's crazy when I think about it. It doesn't feel like I've been there that long.
You know what, too? I was thinking about this just today, knowing that we were going to get together and have a conversation tonight. I have seen so much growth in you since that serve. Like, I think, obviously, who you are, your spirit, that was there, but it felt like it was just covered with a lot of things. I think you had been walking through some stuff, coming out of a season.
Yeah.
Or maybe in the middle of a season. I don't know if you're necessarily coming out of it. But I remember seeing that joy in you, but I could tell that there was like a heaviness there. But I've just watched you like get in community, and I've never heard you bash any of the things that came from that season, but just walk through. And here's what I love, and I think you're someone who appreciates Dr. Brene Brown like I do.
Lo- Love Dr. Brene Brown.
Yes.
Love her.
So with you, I can see you're one, because she says that you have to be able to feel all of the emotions on the spectrum. So to experience immense joy, which I think everybody sees in you, I know that you must have processed those heavier feelings like grief and shame or whatever that she talks about, because there's no way you could have the joy that you have. Obviously, the joy of the Lord is our strength,
Of
right?
course,
I know that.
Yeah.
But there is an emotional work that we have to do to it, right?
Yeah, right.
And so I was thinking about that today. I was thinking about that first serve and just thinking about you feel so much lighter. I know you just said that you called yourself fat. I did not call you fat.
It's okay. Yeah.
But there's a lightness about you.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think that I'm a 4 on the Enneagram, by the way.
Didn't know that. I would have said 7.
Well, see, I'm a 4. According to the test,
Okay.
I'm a 4. And a 4 is a romantic individualist.
Okay. I can see that.
So whatever that means.
Yeah.
I read the description, but when they said I was romantic, I was like, okay, what you trying to say, Lord? For real. But basically what that means is I am a feeler. That's what I got when I read the description of what a 4 is. And anybody who hasn't taken the Enneagram, go take it, because it's one thing to know who you are, but know why you do what you do.
That's right.
It's a totally different, like, self awareness thing.
Yeah. What number do you think I am?
I don't know, because I don't know the numbers.
Okay.
Are you a 7?
7 is my wing. I'm an 8 wing 7.
Because 7 is my wing.
Okay. Wait.
What? Okay, I don't know if I may be using the word wrong. I just know that I ranked 4 first high.
Okay.
And then it was 7.
Okay.
So is that the wing thing?
No, so 7 would be like your secondary, like the closest to your actual number. Your wing is going to be, if you're a 4, it's either going to be a 3 or a 5.
Oh, okay. Oh, see, I didn't know that. See, that's how much I know about the Enneagram. I don't know nothing.
Yeah, I love the Enneagram.
So you're what number?
I'm an 8 wing 7.
Okay, now what does 8 mean?
Protector.
Really?
So strong personalities.
Yeah.
Also, if you've studied or study more into it, so in health, you will swing to and exhibit some of the qualities of another number. So an 8, they're protectors, they're stronger personalities, but in health, they have more characteristics of a 2. So like a helper. So there have been times in my life where I was more of a very bold 8.
Yeah.
But now I think I've softened with age, with growth. So I see some of those 2 qualities. But yeah, and then 7 is my wing that I typically exhibit the most qualities of. And so 7's like they're more enthusiastic, like adventurous. There's some other words to describe it. I can't remember them all. But yeah, I love the Enneagram.
Yeah, I do too. First of all, thank you for saying that about me, because I do think there has been a lot of growth since I left that last season. And I have to get used, which I'm not used to. I have to get used to saying thank you when people give compliments like that. Because usually, you know how people just give you compliments, you be like, oh, thank you. No, and then you really don't like. So I guess there was some part of me, according to my community, I have a kitchen cabinet of people who pour into me and just guide me through life. Besides Jesus has provided these people in my life to help me. And one of them told me that I have a hard time accepting praises. And so they explained it more, and they probably do it more justice than I'm doing it right now. Basically, when I do something or who I am, I don't necessarily expect a praise, but when I get it, it's like it doesn't motivate me to do more. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like less valuable to me. Whereas if somebody said, you did a great job, Matthew, so that's probably not valuable to me. But if somebody said you did a great job because you did this, because you did this, because you did this, that means the world to me, because it is, I guess in some sense, it feeds me and it feeds my inner child. Because I don't know if I had the best, oh, Matthew, you're doing so good as a young child. I don't know if I had that. And I think that when people just say it just like that without explanation of why I'm doing good, does that make sense?
Yeah, I think we all have just this in our core, a longing to be seen and known.
Yeah, yeah.
And so when somebody gives you a praise, but they give the intentionality of what they actually see, it makes you feel more seen and known.
Right.
And I think that's one, because you actually are very intentional about seeing and knowing people, like in a crowd.
Absolutely.
I see you see that. I see you do that. I think that, I mean, you give that to people because it's something that you want. And so you feel seen and known when you get a compliment like that. It feels, I guess, more genuine.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I make it my mission. Pull the mic up just close a little to you. I make it my mission to see people who probably don't always feel seen.
Yeah.
I make it my mission. And I've done it so much now that if I enter a room with a lot of people, I'm always looking for that person first.
Yeah.
Makes sense? And they're usually the people that sit in the back, or they're usually the people that sit by themselves. And sometimes it's people that's all around somebody but feel the loneliest.
Yeah.
So I don't know why God is giving me that ability to do that yet, but I love to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like when you help somebody else feel seen, heard, and valued, man, that's really representation of how God loves us, honestly, if you think about it.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, the world has divided us in so many ways that we don't feel seen and heard because the world doesn't accept who we really are, right? Or we think the world doesn't accept who we are. Right, but that's not necessarily true.
Right.
So anyway, thank you.
Yes.
That's all I wanted to say. Thank you. Thank you. But I want people to know who you are first before we even get into our conversation. So you are a mom.
Yeah.
You're a wife.
Right.
You are, well, not a new mom, but you got a new baby.
Like a new mom again.
A new
I feel
mom
like
again.
a new mom. Yeah.
How do you feel being a new mom again?
I don't even know, Matthew.
For real?
No. No. I mean, it's definitely, both girls are very much their own personalities, 10 years in between them.
Right.
So
right.
what I remember from the first one, it not necessarily worked with the second one.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I have learned more about God through parenting.
Really?
Yes.
Drew said the same thing. I interviewed Drew a couple of weeks ago, and she said the same thing.
That's my homegirl.
She said the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Drew Hunt, for people who don't know Drew Hunt, she's amazing.
Yeah.
She said that she learned more about God with her children than she did anything else.
Absolutely. There have been, like, for instance, with my oldest, she was doing something, I don't know, she's maybe 3 or 4, and like, it was very much out of character what she was doing. And so before I became a parent, I really thought I would be the parent that was like super like disciplined, like
Really?
My kids are going to walk a straight line. And I'm actually a lot softer, which has taught me about God's grace. Like, his grace for us is so immense. I have so much grace for my girls.
Right.
But so Ren, she was doing this thing, and I was like, why do you keep doing that? Every time you do that, you know that this is going to happen. And it was like instantly I could feel God in his sweet, just the way that the Holy Spirit speaks to you. And he was like, why do you?
Really?
Right? I mean, we get caught up in doing stuff like, I'm going to do this, knowing that that's going to happen, but I keep doing it. And it was just like, man, in little instances where I thought, like, if my kid ever did this, I would discipline them. And all I can feel is like a flood of grace.
Really?
And so it's helped me to understand God's grace to me.
Yeah.
And he's the, just ultimate perfect parent, right?
Yeah. When we first met, believe it or not, when we first met at the door, I wasn't supposed to be serving at all. Like Pastor Kyle, he said that we had interviewed him, and he said the same thing. He was like, "You weren't even supposed to be serving."
Yeah, I was security. I was gonna like bust your kneecaps if you did anything crazy. I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. Totally kidding.
Listen, I remember you asking me. You said, "Hey, do you want to serve by the?" Because I had came just in enough time to be in huddle.
Yeah.
And then I was in huddle, and then we broke out. I don't know why they like this new guy. Y'all didn't nobody ask me anything. Y'all just let me be in huddle. Like, I didn't have no name tag. I was not in the machine thingy to get my name tag. So I don't know how. Y'all just don't do that now, though.
No,
Don't do that now. All those people don't do that now. If you knew, do not go to huddle. If you see people working in a circle, don't go. Okay, that don't mean you need to go over there. Right? If you lost, ask questions. And I remember you asked me, you say, "Hey, you want to hold the door with me?" And I said, "Sure." We held the door, and you were the first person I ever talked to about race.
Yeah, I do. Those were some very divided times.
It was because I think George Floyd or might have been Breonna Taylor. It was all fresh.
I think so.
All fresh.
Yeah.
I don't know how the conversation started. Do you remember?
I don't. I could tell you were very hurt over all of it. And I was in, which I still am, but that season sparked me asking more questions.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I've always had Black friends.
Yeah.
Or all races, not just Black, but it was very much a black and white thing. I felt like.
Yeah.
So anyways.
And I've always had white friends. Well, not always. So I got savage.
I've just always assumed like that Black people understand that I love them because I do love them. But when you love somebody, you want to understand more about them.
Yes.
And so before that, I just really didn't ask a lot of questions about what's it like to be
I did not know that.
a Black man walking down the street or even tonight. Like coming to our house, getting a little bit lost on the road. We laughed about it, but like that might be a real thing.
Yeah, I did not know that conversation sparked. It sounds like more conversations with you and your Black friends.
Yeah, well that season in general, when those things started happening, I quit going from, I love Black people. Of course, I love Black people. To like, tell me more. Tell me how I can show up better for you. Tell me what I say that could potentially be hurtful that I certainly don't mean it to be.
Yeah.
But it could be just out of ignorance.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So yeah, all of those things, they were heavy to me. I'm sure not as heavy as to you.
Yeah.
But I felt it, and I felt there wasn't a lot that I could do, in
that season.
I couldn't like go and make a difference for the family of George Floyd or these other things that had happened.
Yeah.
But I could ask the people in my life how to better show up for them and how to better love them. Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it wasn't so that particular conversation was not a first for me, but what was a first for me was how curious you were to know more about it.
Mm-hmm. Which I think, and I could be wrong, but I think my attitude before, and it purely out of just ignorance.
Yeah.
I didn't necessarily enter into those conversations because I was uncomfortable. I didn't know what to say or what not to say.
Yeah.
And I just, like I said, I had the attitude of like, well, I love Black people, so like we don't need to talk about it. But we did.
Yeah. That's good.
In order to grow deeper, which like you asked me earlier about the thing that God's put on my heart and rooted, like going deeper, you have to.
It's so valuable.
You have to.
It's so valuable to have, I'm about to burp because you gave me a soda. It's so valuable to go into the trenches, let's say it like that, in conversations when experiences like that rises to the surface.
Yeah.
Because let's say if we had not had that conversation, where would my mind be? Where would your mind be? Right? In that all, because that was big for everybody.
It was.
Right? If we had had that conversation, I just wonder where our minds would have been. Not just you and I individually, but I'm talking about other Black and white people who had the conversation. If people don't create a space for conversations like that, then how can we grow as people? How can we learn? That make sense?
I think it built trust I would say that conversation between you and I, but other people that were having those same conversations or similar conversations, because trust had been broken.
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you in that season, I know that you had your own hurt and you had your own feelings.
Yeah.
There were a couple of days, and I think it was after George Floyd, that like I was a little nervous walking around downtown Columbus.
Really?
Because I'm like, would someone assume out of or act out of hurt?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like people had every right to be hurt.
Yeah.
But that's where my mind was in those days.
Yeah. And I think for me, my mind was in those days, and those experiences was, man, again?
Yeah.
Like, dang, come on. Like, how many times as people, black or white people, are we going to just like allow stuff like that to happen?
Right.
And let me be careful, because I know that wasn't an incident. That was not an incident where somebody just allowed it to happen because somebody got it on film and then it exploded.
Mm-hmm.
So we did do something about it. We did some wrong things, but we did some right things about it too. What I'm saying is there should have been some kind of system. I'm talking about specifically this George Floyd case.
Mm-hmm.
There should have been some kind of system in place for officers of that caliber, right, to check them emotionally, so that when they go out in this world of black against white, because that's the world we live in. Unfortunately, that's the world we live in. There's black people and white people, and they're against each other for some odd reason. Mm-hmm. Hopefully one day it'll get better. I don't know, maybe in our lifetime. Yeah. But to be honest, that's where we live. There should have been some system in place. So my mind at that moment was that, like, man, like nobody saw, like nobody didn't see that, like, because I'm pretty sure that wasn't his first victim. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nobody
what
didn't
were
see
the signs?
Right. Like what were the signs that somebody of leadership missed that now my niece has to see that on camera? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because nobody. So that's where my mind was, like, man, not again.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was so much scared. I was definitely sad, but I think for me, I was angry but sad at the same time.
Yeah.
I was angry because I didn't know. I felt like we went right back to 18, whatever the riots were, right? Mm-hmm.
So I think anger described a lot of people in that season. But I don't feel like you still are angry. So how did you process through going from anger to where you are now?
Okay, so that's a good question. How I process from anger to where I am now is thinking of that one person as a person, mm-hmm. and not because he's white. Mm-hmm. That makes sense? So if I think of him because he's white, then I'll blame all the white people. Mm-hmm. But if I think of him as a person,
a broken person,
person who just by happenstance wore a badge, mm-hmm. and had authority. Mm-hmm. If I think of him as a person, then that's where grace comes in.
Right.
Now, I'm not excusing his behavior without any means, but what I'm saying is that I can't look at him and say, oh, he's white, mm-hmm. so let me stay away from all the white people,
right?
Because then because maybe God wants to do a work in me where I have to be in a room with white people to show them and have conversations like this to break the barrier, right?
Right.
To break the chains. But if I hold myself hostage to what he did, it makes sense. Like I am holding myself hostage. Yeah. If I think of him as a one white person that just messed up.
Right. So the enemy or the devil
absolutely
would love that.
Absolutely.
He loves to divide.
Absolutely.
You've been through Freedom Curriculum.
I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think since going through
Freedom Curriculum is what we do at Highlands. For people who don't know Highlands, we do a Freedom Group. And it's the only Freedom Group that has a curriculum that Pastor Chris, our pastor, pushes from the stage. Yeah. Because it's probably the only curriculum that they made up, honestly, that Highlands made themselves. I think all the other Freedom Groups, people just whatever the leader wants.
Oh, yeah.
But this is the first. So anyway, I just want people to know that. Okay.
But yeah, so Freedom, after going through freedom and now I've led numerous times.
Yeah.
When I see broken people, I'm like, they just don't have the tools
That's good.
that we have.
That's good.
And you're right. It does not excuse
No, it doesn't. Right.
behavior. And it doesn't, on this side of eternity, we're always a work in progress. But I see situations like that went so far. And I'm like, man, I wish they would have had
an outlet. This
tool to get rid of whatever that anger. Like, and I see people and I think, not to excuse their behavior, but like what happened to them?
Right.
Like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Typically we live in cycles unless we decide to break those and do the work to break those. Like what happened to him that made him an angry person or made him not be able to have self-control, whatever he needed. That's one of the things that helps me like not live in anger.
Right.
Or shame, when I mess up too, because I mess up.
Right.
So that's been something huge for me, breaking those.
Yeah. Yeah. And like, you cannot look at a person and not find something that they're working on. You know what I mean? Like everybody's working on something. So how I see the world and people, black or white people, is that there's nothing you haven't faced or seen or experienced that I haven't seen, faced, or experienced myself. So in that way, we are the same people. We come from two different backgrounds. Yes, our heritage is different, right? But deep down in our core, you know what pain feels like. You know what happiness feels like. You know what loss feels like, right? And I know the same thing, right? And I think if we can get there as a people and sit at a table, and have and just share, right, without any judgment, without any hidden agenda. Like, I just want you to share, to be nosy, to be in your business, right?
Yeah.
Like, I think if we can get there as a people, then when situations like that happen, then we can handle it effectively. Yeah. Because I am going to be honest, there was a lot that happened back then, and that some brown and black people handled it were not effective.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Were not effective. Right? And there were some white people of how their comments and their opinions did not shed light on anything.
It added to the hurt.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I didn't want to be a part of that. So I was just like, I can ask questions.
Yeah.
How many times are we one conversation away
from good.
Finding the common ground?
Right.
Like how much we can relate to each other.
Right.
But when we don't have those conversations, our minds make up these stories.
The scenario, we have our own scenarios.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I can't trust everything the history books say.
No.
I can't trust everything the news says either.
I don't watch the news.
Because they're against us too, right? They're against everything, honestly. They live their lives reporting bad news.
Yeah.
Right? Some news channel, not all. But what I'm saying is that, man, we've got to get to a place of curiosity.
Yeah.
Like, why are you like that?
Yeah.
Why are you not patient? I think it was Dr. Brene Brown, but I don't know who said it, but I think it was Dr. Brene Brown. No, it was Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Bruce Perry. They wrote a book called something. I got to figure it out. Anyway, they wrote a book and they said that they did a study on children between the ages of 5 and probably like right before they got to middle school. The children who were misbehaved in schools. And the study shows that 9 times out of 10, when you ask a child who's misbehaving what's wrong, they always tell you the current issue, the issue at place. Maybe somebody slapped them, maybe somebody threw a pen at them, maybe they didn't like the work, right? But if you go home with them, then you will see exactly what's wrong with them.
Yeah.
Because people act on the outside how they feel on the inside. And children just do the same thing when they become adults. especially if they don't have guidance or they don't have people in their life, right? So if we can understand that as people, that I am, so my husband, let's be like, give an example. My husband, who barks at me all the time, who cusses me all the time, is really hurting from something else that I'm unaware of. But because I don't ask him the question, I never will know.
Right.
Or I don't set up opportunities for him to ask the question, for his boys to ask him the question. Maybe, you know what I mean? I'll never know. Same thing with my wife is, she's angry all the time. Everything I say is a problem, right? But maybe that's a thing, something in it with her. Same thing with people and friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's always something deeper, and sometimes people just use the wrong language or the wrong, let's say the wrong response to express it. That makes sense?
Yeah, I think, whether it be pride or shame or whatever you want to say, it may be different for different people. For I think now we're doing better. Like our generation does better about telling our story, telling, well, this happened and this happened and this happened. And not to say that it gives an excuse for behavior.
Yeah.
But I mean, it even says in the Bible that we overcome by the power of the blood and the word of our testimony. So the power of the blood, like that forgives all of our sins. But through sharing our testimony, our story in settings like this and standing at the door together in small groups with people, I've always said I've never met someone, heard their story, and loved them any less.
Wow, that's good.
Because you learn, okay, maybe the way that they were acting wasn't great, but these things happen to them that would make them act like that, or that would even put their thought patterns like that.
Right.
And so you can meet them there, you can relate with them, you can understand, and then you can point them to truth, because God's word is ultimate truth.
Right.
And that is what sets us free, you know. But yes, so many times if we're not vulnerable enough to share our testimony, our story, then we're just stuck. Yeah. And then we don't find that common ground.
Yeah. People just want to know, no matter who you talk to, do you see me? Do you hear me? And what I'm saying right now, whenever I say it, does it matter to you?
Does it matter? Yeah, in a way that you're going to actually like do something about it. Because it's one thing to see and hear and ignore, that actually adds to hurt.
Right.
But to see and hear and act in whatever way you can. Like we can't fix all the problems, right?
Right.
But that actually adds to the healing. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. I pray that my generation is a curious generation. Like they want to know why things the way they are.
Yeah.
That they're not just settling for the answer, like a history book.
Yeah.
Right. I pray that my generation, and I do know some young people, I know you know them too. I know some young people who are so wise, so what's the word? So ready, so not just wise and ready, but they're so gentle with certain things. That makes sense?
Yeah.
Like I know some young people who are good young people who make great leaders, that will make great leaders in this world. My prayer is that the enemy doesn't change their heart because of the way the world may go, which are racial things and inflation, and not having the right job, or maybe you can't get a job because you don't have the right. You know what I mean? I pray that no matter what the enemy throws or what the world says, that young people in my generation, they still stand strong on what God says and who God called them to be. You know what I mean? Like that's my prayer. Because that's what matters at the end of the day. I think that's what matters.
And to stay curious.
And if you get a person like that, no matter what happens, I promise you they'll find peace, they'll find grace.
Yeah.
I think that's what,
yeah.
I think that's how I really think that's how you can cure racism.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I think, curiosity, I don't know if you heard this term as a kid growing up, curiosity killed the cat, right? Like, because
Yeah.
it's hard to have curious kids, right?
Yes,
Like, it's easier to
yes.
just have
Yeah.
okay, yes, ma'am. But God didn't ever create us to be that way. That's not
Right.
how he parents us.
Right.
Just in my two girls, my oldest one, she's curious. She asks a lot of questions.
Yeah.
The baby, she's getting to where she can get into things. Her curiosity
Yeah.
is getting into stuff, knocking it over, making messes. And it's frustrating,
Yeah.
right? But like, even thinking about God as a parent, like, God doesn't get frustrated at our curiosity.
Right.
With him, with each other, with things that are happening. God's like, bring me all your questions.
Bring it to me.
Yeah. And then find a group of people, friends that you can trust, and ask
Right.
them
Questions.
those curious questions, those deep questions.
Yeah.
Because that's where we're going to find common ground, and that's where healing's going to happen.
Oh, thank you, Lord. Curiosity doesn't kill, it elevates.
Yeah.
Right. It reveals.
Yeah.
Curiosity doesn't kill, it reveals new opportunities, new pathways. It reveals a truth. It reveals a new way of living, honestly.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you stay stuck where you are, and this is why I think this is the core thing at everything. This is the core reason why we struggle with everything, because people are so comfortable where we are now.
Yeah.
Right? If you keep on doing what you've always done, you will keep on getting what you've always gotten.
I hate the term, well, it worked for me. Like,
Right.
No.
Right.
We got to get better.
Exactly.
We got to get better.
Exactly. We got to get better for your children, my children, our grandchildren. If we don't get better, then they're going to suffer.
Yeah.
And we got to teach them how to suffer properly.
Yes.
That makes sense?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Because, and I asked you a question earlier about the anger, like, and the Bible even talks about a godly anger. Like, we are called to be angry about certain things, like mistreatment and things like that. But what we do with that is where it makes a difference, because you can turn anger into.
I just got download. That's good.
You can turn that anger into just bitterness and just.
Maya Angelou was talking to Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle is a comedian.
Yeah.
And she said Dave, because Dave was talking, they were talking about race. I think at that time, Trayvon Martin was killed. I think it was somebody. And Maya turned to Dave, two different generations. I mean, you're talking about Maya Angelou and then Dave Chappelle. Okay.
I need to go watch this interview.
I'm going to send it to you.
Okay.
But she says, oh, come on, Lon, let me remember it. She says, you can be angry, but you must not be bitter. Because bitterness is like cancer. It eats upon the host. But you can be angry because you can use your anger to write books, to inform the next generation. You can use your anger in your work. You can use your anger in your work and making sure that you work so hard and so effectively that when you die, somebody is still learning from what you were called to do, what your work was.
The legacy.
That's writing, that's singing, that's anything that encourage that puts information out to the world. You know what I mean? So you can be angry, but you must not be bitter, because bitterness eats upon the host. Yeah. You're bitter. You're bitter and you want to tear up your town. You're bitter and you want to lash back out in the wrong way. Well, that's not going to do anything. Yeah. Where's that going to get you? Yeah. But I mean, really, that's.
Well, anger's the easiest emotion. It's like the first emotion that we naturally go to. Yeah. So you can either sit in anger and it literally like corrodes your soul.
Oh, that's good.
You can either sit in that, or you can dig deeper.
Yeah.
Be
and
curious.
Figure out a new way.
Continue to ask questions until you.
That's good. Dig deeper and be curious.
Yeah. Yeah. And until that anger turns into to whatever else, like into a passion to make a difference.
That's good. That's good. That's really, really good. Man, that's good. Man. Okay, so where do you think, what's your hope for the world? What's your hope for the next generation? I said what my generation be, but you're from a different generation than I am. So what's your hope for the next generation? Knowing that you all that you know, right? Knowing how the world has been and where it's gonna go. Well, you don't know where it's gonna go, but you have, like, we all have our own feelings of where the world's gonna go.
Yeah.
What's your hope for the next generation?
Genuine relationships with God, not religion, not what grandma and granddaddy did, but to truly learn who God is to you, how he sees you, how he cares about every detail of your life. And that may sound very like cliche, but when that happens, when a true relationship happens, healing takes place. And you're going to see, so like, we talk about we want revival. It starts in us individually. So like revival in the hearts of people, that's going to change the world. Like we don't have to go and solve all the big issues. You solve the heart issues and the big issues are going to work themselves out.
Good, Crystal. That's good, Sister Crystal. That's good. That's good. I think that's a perfect place to end. That makes me think a lot. Really, it makes me go home and think about that. Thank you.
Thank you. This was fun. This was so fun.
Thank you for being who you are.
Oh.
Thank you for being such a light. Like, I think everything you called out in me, I think I see the same thing in you. Like, you are such an anointed like person, like that, like you can see God in you. And you can see God in how you treat people, how you interact with people, even how you love people who probably haven't always recognized your love in the beginning, because it was kind of, sometimes when people love us, especially if we've been traumatized with love, we don't always see that that's a good thing. But your persistency in loving people is changing. I'm telling you, it's changing their lives, and it's making an impact. I'm just letting you know.
That means so much. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Wow. My friend, how do you feel? Like, tell me, because I want to know how you felt in this conversation. Write in the comments. Tell me how you felt. My intention on bringing every episode to you is that not only it inspires you, but you learn something. Like Maya Angelou said, who I love so much. She says, when you get, you give. When you learn, you teach. So if you learn something, do me a huge favor, my friend, and share it to somebody that you know needs to hear it. I'm so glad, I really am glad that you got to join in on this conversation, and I can't wait until you hear the next one. Listen, God bless you. Stay in peace so that you won't be in broken pieces.